Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm talking about a brand new fragrance. It's so exciting to be able to try this. So new. It's Jasmine Bonheur from Guerlain. It's the new L'art et la Matiere fragrance. I've got a decant here. I got this from Gail. Gail is an amazing fragrance bottle collector here in the UK, and she managed to get hold of a bottle very early and allowed people to buy small decants, and I was one of those people. I jumped on it because I really wanted to try it. I didn't even know the notes at the time because the notes have only really just been released. The fragrance is now on the Guerlain website, so you can look it up there. The notes are, obviously you have jasmine, there's apricot, orange, violet, iris and rose. So I love the sound of most of those. I'm not a big fan of apricot, but it depends. So I'm just going to spray it on my skin now. I'm going to go on the back of this hand here. I have not sniffed it. This is my very first sniff and I'm doing it with you. So we'll do plenty onto the hand. And I can smell it in the air already. It's very strong in the air. It smells springy, so it smells kind of summery, springy. Now this is based on the colour palette of Matiere, the artist, and Bonheur means happiness, joy, that kind of thing. So it's like joyful jasmine, if you like. I guess they've already used joyous on their tuberose, so jasmine is Bonheur. Okay, I'm really pleased to say that I can smell the iris in there, albeit it's not the strongest element, but whenever I smell iris, that's what I hone in on because I love it so much. So yes, it definitely smells like a jasmine perfume with iris intertwined with it. It doesn't smell too apricotty. There is a fruitiness here. This is not one of those fragrances that starts out with just citrus. You know, some fragrances start out with citrus notes, and it's almost all you can get is citrus. It's not one of those. You can smell the jasmine and a little bit of the citrus mixing in to make it fresh and vibrant and juicy. The iris lends it almost a suede-like tone. Not mega powdery at this point, just more very smooth, maybe buttery suede. But the main player here is the jasmine. It's not dirty jasmine. It's very clean. It's very fresh. I think mixing with that orange note, it doesn't smell particularly orangey. Not really. If I was guessing, I would have said bergamot rather than orange. There's definitely a citrus in there, but it's a very clean, fresh, vibrant, zesty kind of citrus. It doesn't really smell too much of just one citrus, so that's why I would have guessed more of a bergamot. I don't think I would have guessed apricot, but there definitely is something along that fruity, peachy line. A little hint of it in there, so it's not too strong. Sometimes peach and apricot, I kind of put them in the same bracket, and they're not my favourite notes, especially if they really stand out. I think they do stand out a little bit, but they're not too much for me. So they're there, that kind of peachiness, that must be the apricot. It's making me think of peach skin. I think the iris with that suede-like texture with the apricot is making me think of the softness of a ripe peach, how soft that skin is. There's a slight sharpness in here, which I think is the jasmine. Sometimes some notes in fragrances give me a hairspray-like vibe. And it's not one specific note. I can get it from, right now I think I'm getting it from jasmine. And I can get it sometimes from iris and violet. So if I think of insolence from Guerlain, that smells a bit like hairspray to me. Although I always question whether there's aldehydes in there that's doing it. I'm not sure. But in here, there's just a little sharpness that's reminding me of hairspray. just sprayed in the air. You know how it, when it catches in your throat. I don't think I can pick up on the violet. It feels like there's a little bit of a greenness in here, but nothing dark, nothing mossy, very light, vibrant, possibly just coming from the jasmine. It smells reasonably natural, except for the hairspray, except for the sharpness of it. Yeah, I don't actually know how I feel about this right now. It might be a little sharp for me, but obviously we're only in the very top notes here. I think what I'm going to do is come back once it's had a little bit of time to settle on my skin. Hello, different perspective for you. So the fragrance has been on my hand for about an hour-ish, and now I would say it smells less on the fruity side. I still get a hint of fruitiness in there. A little less sharp, although I still get a bit of sharpness, which I'm pretty sure is from the jasmine. I think I'm starting to get a little bit of that violet, and I do still get the iris, and it also feels very musky. So it feels like a jasmine sitting on top of a slightly powdery, musky iris with just a little nuance of violet and a little nuance of an orangey fruitiness, not that orangey, but pinky orangey, like more like the apricot than an orange itself. It's really pretty. It's definitely got a dusty feel to it, and I think that's coming from the iris, maybe the violet as well. I like it. I don't think I'm in love, not right now. It has a very spring-like feel, but it's not as sharp and fresh as a typical spring floral citrus fragrance. So it's because of this kind of like dusty powderiness, it's not too fresh. It's not completely fresh. It's not that sweet. It feels like the sweetness comes from maybe the apricot, maybe the violet, maybe the jasmine. It's sort of like the sweetness is kind of a natural sweetness, not an added vanilla or sugar or anything like that. So there's a touch of sweetness, but it is not a typical L'art et la Matiere sweet. So it's nothing like your Spiritueuse de Blevigny, Iris Ganache, Angelique Noir, or any of those really vanillic fragrances. It's not like those. There definitely is a slightly tart green element to it, but it's not really, really green, just a little bit of a sharp greenness. The jasmine is fresh. It's not nothing like Alien. It's nothing like the jasmine in my recent new purchase, which is Serge Luton's Fils de Joie. It's not a heady jasmine. It's very fresh and slightly green. I think kids coming home from school outside. I think the iris lends it a little bit of a concrete dust thing, which I enjoy. So I quite like that. Yeah, overall, it's very nice. It's very pleasant. At the moment, I'm not blown away by it, but at the same time, I do think it's really nice. I've just tried Oud Nude from Guerlain, the other L'art et Matiere that came out with the 3 oud fragrances. And that to me is quite synthetic. I like the opening. It's got a gorgeous marzipan note, touch of floral, quite pretty opening, and then quickly went downhill on my hand. Smelled a little, smells like some synthetic aroma chemicals that are very common these days in a lot of fragrances. They just don't float my boat. It's not bad smelling, it's just not for me. It doesn't smell like a Guerlain at all. I think this smells more like a Guerlain. I like it a lot more. Doesn't seem to have too much of those annoying aroma chemicals that I've started to pick up on in some of the Guerlain's more recent releases. There's a little sharpness to it. Initially it was a bit like hairspray, now it's more like a sharp greeny kind of note. And yeah, I'd say it lends it a slightly bitter tone as well. So it's not completely bitter, but there's a bitter tone to it. But I do like it. I definitely like it. I will be giving it a proper wearing and see how I feel about it. Just a final quick update then. The fragrance on the back of my hand is now, I think, 4 hours or so in. I'll correct that and put the right amount of time on the screen once I go back and look at the times I recorded. But I think we're talking about 4 or 5 hours in on the back of my hand. And it is really very much a concrete dust, powdery musk type scent with just a hint of the jasmine. So I would call this a white musk based scent. It really smells like white musk to me. I did do another spray on my wrist a few hours ago, and that is also very white musky, but with just a bit more of the fruity jasmine aspects to it. So on first impression, so remember this is just one very first impression, so I could definitely change my opinion and the way I describe this perfume, but for now I would call it a jasmine white musk scent. Very much white, clean musk, but with a bit of a concrete dust, or even like rain after the sun. You know what I mean? Or sunshine after the rain. Almost like a petrichor, not exactly earthy, but a slightly mineral, chalky white dust. I do think it's a chalky actually. It's very clean. I like it. I think it's nice. At the moment, I wouldn't buy it. It's quite expensive. It's £195 for 50 ml. So you can buy 50 ml now of Guerlain L'art et la Matiere. You never used to be able to. So you can get 50 ml, 200 ml is about 400 and something. And then the 200 ml was £290. So they're pretty pricey and it's very nice. It reminds me a little bit of the Musc Outreblanc, that white musky scent as well. So it feels along that sort of line. So definitely a clean musky type scent once it dries down. So that's it then. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.